AD has finally been revealed as Pretty Little Liars comes to a close, so let's see if all your theories were right. What's up, you little liars? Welcome back. It's a little bittersweet because this will be my last PLL episode of What Happened. I know I only started doing recaps this season because I finally had time, but I have been watching since the beginning, as I'm sure most of you have.
Hi, Shine On Media. I'm Troyan Belisario, and I play Spencer Hastings on ABC Family's Pretty Little Liars. And thank you for playing the Secret Keepers game. So I heard you won as you were playing my character, Spencer Hastings. It's probably why you won. It's a pretty good character. You got a lot of luck with that name.
And finding out who AD is has probably consumed too much of my life. Okay, not really, but it's definitely caused me some TV frustration. In tonight's series finale, we finally learned the identity of AD, and also, did it kind of set up for a spin-off maybe? Okay, let's get crack-a-lackin' on this recap. So I'm not going to make you wait until the end of this episode for the reveal of AD. I'm just gonna do it now. So if by some odd chance you're watching this but you don't want to know who AD is, which is strange, go ahead and click away. Otherwise, AD was revealed to be Alex Drake. Now, who is Alex Drake, you may ask? Well, it's Spencer's long-lost twin sister, who also has a British accent, which isn't that great.
Yeah, it's a lot to process. Would you like a sedative?
Yep, for all you who kept commenting on my recaps or that I saw on social media, sharing your theories on Tumblr, whatever it was, you guys seem to notice that Spencer's been acting so weird this season, and that maybe she had a twin, so you all win the grand prize, which is just the satisfaction of knowing you'd make one hell of a detective. Okay, so before I get into exactly explaining how Alex fits into everything, let's just run through real quick what happens for the rest of our main characters. P.S. All of this takes place a year after the last episode we saw where AD drives off into the sunset. So, do Arya and Ezra get their happily ever after? Yes! In the promo for this episode, we did see Arya say that she couldn't marry Ezra. Well, the reason for that is that Arya finds out that she can't have kids, and she's scared that that's really going to affect their relationship. But of course, Ezra's fine with it, and he's like, hey, we can adopt or get a surrogate. After their first wedding day gets messed up thanks to Alex Drake, the two do end up tying the knot, complete with an interruption from the creator Marlene King. Hannah and Caleb aren't doing so hot in the majority of this episode. Hannah's fashion stuff is going well, but the relationship between the two has been strained, especially since Mona is now coming to live with Hannah, because Hannah has basically been visiting Mona. She feels guilty for making Mona play the game and feels like it's her fault that Mona had another breakdown. Eventually things end up working themselves out, and at the end of the episode, when the girls are all saying bye to Arya before she heads off on her honeymoon, Hannah reveals that she's pregnant. Emily and Allison now have twin girls named Grace and Lily. Emily starts to get paranoid as she sees Allison and her mom kind of sneaking around behind her back, so Emily ends up confronting Allison about it, forcing Allison to propose, not in the way she had originally planned. Allison got Emily's grandmother's ring and had the whole proposal planned, but what ended up happening still seemed pretty perfect to me.
When I was an ugly human being, you saw a beautiful soul.
We also learned that the father of the babies is Ren. But I don't know if actually, after watching this whole episode, if Emily and Allison even find out that Ren is the father. We only find out because Alex Drake is holding the babies while she's posing as Spencer, and she just says, and no one else is around, so she says to the babies, you know, you have your father's eyes. Now, one thing I know is that I would love a spin-off with the drunk moms of Rosewood. Like, they are a blast. At Ezra and Arya's rehearsal dinner, Ella, Veronica, and Ashley end up getting kind of drunk together, and they reference that basement, and well...
Sometimes I wish we were still in the basement. At least then we had some peace and quiet.
Oh my God. You remember how we got out of there?
You know, Pam didn't drink for a year after that.
Forget I brought it up.
Come on. It's one of the most unanswered questions. I want to know how they got out of that damn basement. In the end, Toby and Spencer seem happy as they are back together, and she's a paralegal at her mom's firm and going to law school, and he's kind of doing work with Jason, it seems like. And even though Drew Van Acker wasn't available to come back for the finale, his name was mentioned a few times as was another name, Maya. Turns out Maya has a niece who is now a high school student that Emily knows, and that niece is also one of the girls in Mean Girl Addison's posse. Now remember how I said that the show could kind of set up for a spinoff, which I wish it was the Drunk Moms, but it's not? Well, it might not actually be a setup for a spinoff. I think it's just more of an homage to the pilot, obviously. It ends with Addison's group of friends asleep in a house. One wakes up, sees that Addison and another girl named Willow are gone. The other girls wake up, Willow returns saying Addison is gone. She's looked for her everywhere and she thinks she heard her scream. Yep, the cycle just continues. I guess that's really the only reason we were ever introduced to Addison. Alright, who else? Mona, well, she runs off to France where she's working in a doll shop and has a French boyfriend. And well, let's just say she still likes to play with her own dolls. More on that a little later. Okay, now what you probably came to this video for, let's explain this whole AD situation. So AD is Alex Drake. It turns out that when Mary Drake gave birth in Radley, she didn't know she was actually having twins. She popped out Spencer, who they took to the Hastings family, but then the nurse ran back in because another baby was being born. The doctor who delivered Mary's baby arranged for the adoption of the child for half of the money, and Alex was adopted by a wealthy family in London. Now, Mary thought that Alex was all set because wealthy family, London. Seems pretty perfect, right? Well, that wasn't the case. It turns out that Alex ended up having some issues while she was still pretty young, and while she was young enough to not remember her family, her adopted family left her in an orphanage, and Alex was given back her birth name of Drake. Then at the age of 10, Alex ran away from the girls' home, and that was a year before Mary actually found out where Alex was. So now, how did Alex learn about her twin? Well, it was actually by chance. Ren walked into a pub in London where Alex was the bartender, and at first he thought Spencer was there just playing a joke on him. Well, Alex and Ren eventually start dating, which kind of makes Ren sort of creepy, like he definitely has a type, right? He ends up showing Alex the picture of Spencer and kind of explains things, and then arranges for Charlotte and Alex to meet, because it turns out that Charlotte's treasure that was buried in Radley that Sarah Harvey was actually after, that she thought was money, was actually Mary Drake's file. So Charlotte knew she had a sister out there somewhere named Alex Drake because in that file was a birth certificate for it. So Charlotte went on a hunt, found 12 Alex Drakes, but none of them were related to her. Ren then assures her that this one, Alex, is the one because she looks pretty familiar, not like Charlotte, but like, well, Spencer. So Charlotte and Alex basically become the best of friends, as sisters usually would, and the day that Charlotte met Alex actually also happens to be the day that she met Archer Dunhill on the plane. According to Alex, Charlotte just couldn't let the game go though. She was still hell-bent on kind of torturing these girls. So Charlotte chose to return to Rosewood, but wouldn't let Alex come with her, and when she left Alex with a present, it's that Patsy Cline album that we've seen and heard before. When Charlotte was killed, all Charlotte's money and the Karasimi group, all that kind of stuff, was left to Alex, so now we know why AD could afford all those gadgets and really cool things to torture these girls with. So basically, Alex became AD and created the game Liar's Lament to torture the girls to pay them back for Charlotte's death. Alex eventually got so wrapped up in the game and infatuated with Spencer's life that she was just set on stealing Spencer's whole life, her friends, and especially Toby.
I'm not going anywhere without Toby. Right, I see it in his eyes. He's in love with me.
He's in love with Spencer, not you.
Well, I am Spencer now!
Once Alex learned who killed Charlotte, she sent Ren to Welby to kill Mona, hence why at the beginning of the episode, we see that hooded figure enter Mona's room and she says, "I would have never guessed it was you. Are you here to kill me?" Well, it turns out that Mona was able to convince Ren not to kill her because she said that she could help them get Mary Drake out of jail. So in this episode, we see Mona don the hoodie again to help out AD, but she still doesn't know the true identity of AD just yet. In fact, AD has Mona snooping around on the girls, but as a viewer, if you were watching this episode, we don't know that it's Mona. We're led to believe that this person is AD in the hood, and that person is Melissa. But it's not. Turns out Mona's just wearing one of those damn masks. Alright, also in this episode, Alex breaks Mary out of prison on Arya's wedding day, so that's why the girls are on red alert. Since Mona's still kind of working for AD, she is the one who knocks out Spencer, so Alex can lock her up in this creepy underground jail cell thing that she has created. I'm not gonna lie, I did let out a laugh when we finally learned that Spencer has an evil twin with a British accent. After Spencer wakes up again later, this is when Alex spills everything to Spencer, and Alex is basically so off her rocker that she tells Spencer that she's so hell-bent on basically being her that she even had Ren shoot her in the same place that Spencer had been shot. And also, apparently Ren was so in love with Alex, but since, Alex wanted to be Spencer, she knew that Ren wouldn't be able to accept that, and Ren would only look at her as Alex, and it just wasn't gonna work out, so,
But he is always close by. Turned his ashes into an eternity stone. Because diamonds last forever.
Poor Ren just deserved better than that. Now, when Alex is off pretending to be Spencer, Mary tells Spencer that she too is a prisoner down there, but ends up giving Spencer a bobby pin or some kind of little tool to escape the cell. When Ezra doesn't show up for his own wedding, it's because he's become too nosy after running into who he thought was Spencer. So yeah, he gets knocked out and locked up in the cell across from Spencer. What else was revealed? Well, we got to see some of the times throughout the season that it was actually Alex and not Spencer. One of those being when Hannah was being tortured in that barn on the farm, being electrocuted or whatever it was. Spencer apparently came to her in a dream. Yeah, well, it wasn't really a dream, it was Alex. Also, when Spencer was saying goodbye to Toby the day he was leaving with Yvonne and she gave him a book, she also asked for one last kiss. Yeah, well, that was Alex. And then it was also Alex that slept with Toby a few episodes ago in the cabin when he still had his beard. And it was also Alex who was at the airport with Ren when they ran into Ezra. Now, I think this airport scene was the first time that I actually noticed that Spencer was starting to act a little strange. But I know that many of you on that episode recap commented that you had seen Spencer be weird even before that. Jenna actually plays a key part in getting the ball rolling for the rest of the girls to figure out that Spencer isn't Spencer, which is interesting because Jenna's usually been their enemy. Well, Jenna's now a life skills teacher at the high school, and Alex, as Spencer, has set up some kind of meeting for Jenna and Veronica Hastings. It seems like to talk about trouble that girl Addison is causing in school. Well, Jenna is outside thanking Spencer for setting up the meeting, and she asks Spencer if she got a new perfume, and this, well, obviously sets up Jenna. So Jenna calls Toby and tells him that she thinks that Spencer is not Spencer. So now Toby takes this information, heads over to Ezra's apartment where everyone is sitting there trying to look for Ezra, and he fills them in, and he says what also tipped him off was that book that Spencer supposedly gave him the day that they were leaving. He thought it was weird that Spencer asked for one more kiss, and then after looking at the book, he realized there were no notes in it, and if this was Spencer's favorite book, he knew that she had notes written all over it. So then he says, what if Spencer has a twin, because twins run in the family?
That's who's doing this to us? I mean, out of all the insane theories we've jumped to,
Spencer having an evil twin has got to be the most insane.
Now, Mona is still kind of playing both sides here, helping AD, but also hell-bent on beating AD. So she's listening to all of this at the apartment and ends up informing the group where Alex is, and it happens to be Toby's house that he built and sold. It turns out that Alex has built some kind of elaborate bunker, jail, fake neighborhood thing all underground, which is kind of really trippy because she basically planned on keeping Spencer and stuff down there forever. And honestly, I just want to know how Alex learned to build all of this stuff, including the game. Where did she develop all these skills? And if she had so many genius skills, why was she just a bartender in a pub? Spencer and Ezra have managed to break out of their cells and run to what they think is the outside, where they're being chased by Alex with an axe. The rest of the group have found the house, see that Alex had actually crazy and bought furniture exactly like Spencer's, and they discover that hatch that leads underground. Then you end up getting the usual oh crap, which twin is the bad guy scenario.
Toby, it's me, Spencer. Don't listen to her. Look at me. You know me.
Tell me your favorite poem from the book you gave me.
Un orange sur la table, ta robe sur le tapis.
Thankfully, the police show up because Mona happened to call them before they went down in the bunker. Mona's always like 2 steps ahead. And honestly, it's a good thing because having to explain everything that just happened to the police without actually having a policeman there to witness it, I don't think anybody would buy it. The police also reveal that they caught Mary a few blocks away, so she's also in custody, and Mona ends up winning the game.
Well, no one can call you loser Mona anymore.
you don't know the half of it.
So that's basically it. Well, actually, what happens to Mary and Alex? Are they actually in jail? No. They're actually locked up underneath Mona's little doll shop in France, and I don't think that they're ever leaving.
She can't keep us here forever.
Of course she can. She's Mona.
Okay, so I think those were the main things. What, any other little reveals I forgot? One is that Archer Dunhill was actually not one of AD's minions. He did all that stuff to Allie on his own because he thought that's what Charlotte would have wanted. Sydney was also just a one-off helper that Alex bribed because she knew Sydney was stealing money. And kind of the same thing with Jenna as well. Alex offered to pay for another surgery for Jenna, but looks like that surgery sadly did not work. Okay, I think I kind of got everything covered. Hopefully I covered everything. If I didn't cover everything, I'm sure you guys will talk about it down in the comments below. I honestly still am not quite sure what I think of this reveal. I'm glad in a sense it wasn't a character that we haven't seen for seasons or for a long time that just happened to show up and be AD. Like, say, Melissa, which is why I was worried when we first saw her in this episode in the hoodie that she would be AD, but thankfully that was not true. The whole Spencer Alex thing, at least you can go back and see, oh yeah, here was a shift in the character. But I'm also still not truly how I feel about it, and I'm not actually sure who would have made me happy to be revealed as AD. But of course, as always, I want to know what you thought about the whole finale. Did it wrap everything up in a tiny little bow, make you happy? Did you figure out the twin theory before the reveal? And if so, what episode did you figure it out? What was that main clue for you that set off your radar? Do you have any questions you are still sad that weren't answered? Like, I still want to know how the moms got out of the damn basement, and I want to know if the girls ever actually found out that Ren was the father of the twins. Also, do you think there could be any spin-offs of any kind from the show? And if so, what kind of spin-off would you want? Sound off in the comments down below or hit me up on my socials because, you know what? It's been a fun and frustrating 7 years, PLL, and I shall miss you. If you want even more, you can click right over here to get a sneak peek of the Pretty Little Liars exhibit at the WB Studio Tours here in LA. And don't forget to subscribe. And as always, I'm Lisa, and good night, liars.